The House Rules Committee will come to order. Would the clerk please take attendance?
Chair Schutte.
Here.
Representative Zaragona.
Here.
Wenzel. Here. Martin.
Here.
Posthumus.
Here.
DeBoer. Here. Whitwer. Here. Liberati.
Here.
Herzberg. Mr. Chair, you do have a quorum.
Thank you. Representative Whitwer moves to adopt the minutes of the May 15th meeting, and there being no objection, the motion prevails by unanimous consent. First, we will be taking up House Bill 4113. Representative Aragona moves to report the bill with recommendation. Would the clerk please call the roll?
On the motion to report, Chair Schutte.
Yes.
Representative Zaragona.
Yes.
Wenzel.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Posthumus.
Yes.
DeBoer.
No.
Whitwer.
Yes.
Liberati.
Yes.
Herzberg. Mr. Chair, you have 7 yeas, 1 nay, and 0 pass. The motion does prevail.
The bill is reported with recommendation. We will now be hearing testimony on House Bill 4017. Representative Neyer and Josh Scramlin from Farm Bureau will be testifying. Gentlemen, please come forward and begin when you are ready.
Thank you, Chair Schutte and committee. Today I'm here to testify in support of House Bill H.R. 4017. This bill seeks to reduce the financial penalty MIOSHA can impose upon a family farm operation in the event of a family member accident or fatal accident. This issue is sparked when Keith Eiserman of Leelanau County lost his life due to an accident on his family farm. While the family was dealing with the aftermath of his loss, MIOSHA showed up at their door and demanded that they come out to his farm and inspect the accident scene and go through a litany of questions in a very stressing time for the family, just days after the accident. And in the end, they imposed a over $12,000 fine on the farm for failing to report the accident within an 8-hour period. The family was not aware of these rules, and it wasn't an employee that was involved. It was Keith, him and his brother that owned the farm. It was Keith's life that was lost. What this bill does not eliminate the penalty, but does give the ability to reduce the penalty by 80% and allow the family a little bit of reprieve, or a family operation a little reprieve from strict interpretations of this law. Basically, we're getting this operation, a family farm is being put underneath the same restrictions that any large corporation with an HR department is being regulated by. This will give just the family operations, the family members, ability to deal with this in a smart way without going against federal MIOSHA rules. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Josh, and he'll give us a little bit more detail on how this bill came to be.
Thank you, Representative. Chairman Schutte and members of the committee, my name is Josh Scramlin, and I am an Associate Legislative Counsel with Michigan Farm Bureau. We are the state's largest general farm organization, representing over 40,000 farm families in every corner of the state. And today I'm here to speak in support of House Bill 4017, and we do appreciate Representative Neyer for reintroducing this important legislation. In 2019, Lenawee County farmer Keith Eisenman tragically lost his life in an accident on his family's farm. On March 6th, his family testified before the House Agriculture Committee, so March 6th of this year, in support of this bill, and I would strongly encourage every single member of the committee to watch that testimony. Following Keith's death, as Representative Neyer indicated, MIOSHA fined his grieving family a total of $12,000, primarily for not reporting his death to the state within 8 hours. House Bill 4017 seeks to reduce the monetary penalties MIOSHA can impose on a family farm following the loss of a close family member in a farm-related accident on the farm that they own. Importantly, this legislation does not eliminate the reporting requirement. We recognize that MIOSHA plays a critical role in protecting workers, and that timely reporting helps prevent unsafe working conditions from being concealed. But it's also essential to recognize that these excessive penalties will not prevent on-farm accidents in the future. Farming is inherently dangerous. operating heavy machinery, handling livestock, performing maintenance on buildings. Those are just a few of the risks that Michigan farmers are facing on a day-to-day basis. And at Michigan Farm Bureau, we take safety very seriously. We regularly distribute materials promoting safe practices on the farm, and we are working with industry partners to host on-farm safety events around the state this summer. Our member-driven policy book supports, quote, appropriate safety regulations, but it also opposes, quote, enforcement action against an owner-operator resulting from a self-imposed accidental injury. And that is exactly what happened in the case of the Eisenman family. In the immediate aftermath of a tragedy, calling MIOSHA, it may not be top of mind. Families should not be burdened with steep fines for failing to make that call within 8 hours of losing a loved one. Thank you for the opportunity to testify, and I would be happy to attempt to answer any questions the committee may have.
Well, thank you both. So I know this bill is before the Rules Committee because it involves rule promulgation and modifying that with MIOSHA. What have been your discussions with MIOSHA regarding this legislation?
I have not had direct conversations with them there. They say that they have modified it a bit, but that's up for interpretation. I'd like to take that. The purpose of this bill is to take that and clarify those rules so that way this does not happen again. Doesn't take the responsibility away from the farm, but does give them a less steeper option or less aggressive penalties. We're not this received bipartisan support when it was run the first time by Representative Colley. He actually made it all the way to the governor's desk, but on a technicality with the definition of a family farm, it was vetoed. And since then, this will be the actually the fourth attempt to get it through legislation there. So we hope to get it through this time. It's received bipartisan support across the board all times that it's been run before.
Thank you. So in reading the bill, reducing the penalty by the maximum allowed under the act, there's also provisions of rule promulgation to allow them to perhaps potentially modify how they want to reduce that penalty. Would you be open to some language maybe narrowing how we allow MIOSHA to promulgate that rule?
Yes, I would be.
Okay, great. Representative DeBoer.
What is the situation with the family right now? Are they still being billed this $12,000?
They've already paid the fine. It was through themselves and help from their neighbors and friends that they did come up with it there. They just wanted to get this behind them, but they'd really like to see a fix in this where other families don't have to go through the same stress and anxiety that they did.
It's tough to choose between a funeral and a fine to MIOSHA.
It's tough. When you in any dealing with the death of the situation, trying to deal with rules that you may not even be aware of is difficult there. So this is just simply a fix. Farming operations are a unique animal, and we'd like to see this clarified.
Well, we respect the farmers of Michigan, and that's the last message we want to send them, especially at such a difficult time for them. Thank you, Jerry, for taking this up. Representative Neyer, sorry.
This is a first name basis kind of committee. All right. Any other questions? All right. Thank you both, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. We will now be hearing testimony on House Bill 4246. Representative Phil Green is here to testify. Representative, thank you for coming, and please begin when ready.
Chair Schutte, members of the committee, thank you so much for your time today. It's an honor and privilege to be sitting before you testifying on this bill. In 1995, some possibly before Chair Schutte was born, in 1995, my wife graduated from high school in Chesapeake, Virginia. And she went down to college at Pensacola Christian, where I went to college. We met there. She was a nursing student. She completed her bachelor's degree in nursing in 1999 and sat for NCLEX, the national test, in Virginia, received her Virginia nursing license. From there, in July 31st of 1999, we moved to Wisconsin. And her nursing license, because it was a compact state, transferred, and she had time to get her job and then as well to be able to get her Wisconsin license. From there, we moved to the state of New York and then to Michigan. In moving to Michigan, we ran into some issues because of trying to buy a house, trying to move here at the time frame, and we realized that even though the bachelor's degree has to come from an accredited institution, and then the national test, each state had their own wall of regulation, we'll say it that way, to navigate to get the license. We spent about 6 months trying to get her license just for different technical reasons, and almost lost the house we had a offer on. But then, as we've been here since 2012, we've started to realize that there are some other issues rather than just moving. This nursing license now has moved into the 21st century, where we have, you'll hear testimony here shortly, we have organizations with telehealth that somebody calls in for telehealth services. If they are calling and talking to a nurse and they are from a different state, that nurse has to be licensed in that state. Likewise, we have different natural disasters that have taken place. One story is that a hurricane hit Puerto Rico, which is a community, which is a commonwealth of America, not a state. But in that being, they needed to rush healthcare professionals into Puerto Rico to help navigate some of the kidney dialysis. Because of that, nurses in Michigan could not go because their license is not recognized in Puerto Rico. So as a labor of love, we'll say it that way, for my wife, I began in 2019 looking at this nurse compact licensure and bringing it for you this year to streamline a already accepted license in 42 states and other jurisdictions, to allow our nurses to travel, our nurses to use their compassion and their heartfelt profession in other parts of our country that may need their assistance on a mission trip or fulfilling a different role. Maybe they're a little bit older and they are snowbirds and they would like to practice their profession in Florida or Arizona. And so this would take what is happening in 42 other states and allow it to happen in Michigan, the Michigan Nurse Compact Licensure Bill.
Thank you, Representative. For the record, July 21st, 1995. So that's the date. But on the substance of the bill,
She graduated before you discovered
all
America.
right, there you go. Regarding the substance of the bill, so 43 different states in this compact. For Michigan to enter into that compact, would there be any new obligations that nurses would have to take up, any new requirements they would have to fulfill to enter into this compact, or do we already meet the general requirements?
Michigan meets the general requirements. All that would have to happen is for Michigan to pass this, and then those individuals who have obtained their license and maintain their license in Michigan through all of the different stuff that different hoops we have to jump through, because we are a compact state, would automatically their license would become compact.
And is there any fee if a nurse wants to join into the compact associated with it?
There is no fee. It is we join the compact, and those who have nursing licenses automatically are they able to use those licenses wherever they would travel inside the continental U.S. and its territories.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions, members of the committee? Representative Aragona.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Rep. Green, for bringing this forward. Can you go over what the points are in order to join the compact. Obviously legislation, but beyond that, for instance, the state must require passage of the NCLEX. Beyond that, do you know what those salient points are in order to say, all right, you can be a compact state? For instance, I'm noticing that in Michigan we require, in order to be a registered nurse, a background check. Do all states require a background check? And is there other points that you have to hit, such as that, to become a compact state?
My understanding, and simply my understanding, is that if you are licensed in a compact state, duly licensed in a compact state, you have to maintain your licensure in that compact state. So some states are a little bit less lenient, we'll say it that way, in what it takes to maintain. Michigan has some rules about certain CEUs, continuing education units, that an individual has to have. We have something in regards, I believe, to pain management, and we have to have a CEU in, just a second here, health disparities. Something along that line that here since 2020 the governor has instituted. Other states do not have those requirements, but as long as you maintain your license in your state, then you are good to go.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Representative Whitwer.
Thank you. Good morning, Representative. It's my understanding that the Compact Board does assess the state a fee. Do you know what that is? And does that really outweigh the benefit that you're stating for this?
I do not know what that fee is, and does it outweigh the benefit? Well, I think there's that would be a quasi-subjective question, right? As individuals look at that. I look at it and I say, allowing our professionals to take their profession and use it in other states, to be able to earn money doing a job, whether as a nurse, as a traveling nurse, or as a retired person. Anytime the government gets in the way from an individual being able to use a professional license or their profession, I think we as a government need to look at, are we literally working for our people, or are we restricting our people?
So inside your bill, the assessment that needs to be done has to be paid for by the state, and you aren't aware of what that would be?
I am not aware of the dollar amount. I would be willing to look at and figure out a way through our budget process to make that happen.
Okay, thank you.
I don't see any other questions for Representative Green. Thank you. I have wishing to speak in support of the bill, Patrick Mills from Hospice of Michigan.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, committee. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. Actually, forgive my writing, Patrick Miller is my name. I'm a registered nurse, graduated from Wayne State in '96, started my practice at Henry Ford, and the journey today has led me to Hospice of Michigan. North Star Care Community is the larger name that we have for the hospice work we do. I'm the CEO. I think it's important for us to frame, we care for about 2,700 patients a day in Michigan. Most of them are on hospice. It does include children. It's a tough part of the work, but for us, it's important to be able to recruit great nurses in Michigan, ideally Michigan nurses. One of the things that is interesting is that the Michigan Health Council's 2024 Healthcare Workforce Index reports that Michigan currently has a nursing shortage. That's not a surprise, and that is projected to continue through 2033. Adoption of this nursing licensure compact would allow us to more easily fill that nursing shortage. I'll give you the scenario from our perspective as an employer, and this is where it's material for us. We do, in addition to the work in Michigan, we do work with hospices in 19 other states, that includes DC, to do after-hours telephonic triage. So we take calls. It's over 12,000 patients any evening may call our nurses for help clinically. Our nurses have to be licensed in the states where those patients reside. The challenge is because we're not a compact state, we have to make sure the nurses have that licensure. So we've had to hire, as of now, 60 nurses who live outside of Michigan, have the licensure we need to provide that care. If we were a compact licensure state, those are positions, those are jobs I'd be able to hire from the Michigan workforce. And I'd prefer to do that, but right now we have nurses that live in 23 other states. There is uniform licensure standards. There are background checks for all the states that are involved. There's confidentiality for nurses that enter recovery programs. I think that's important. And this does give Michigan the authority to have practice oversight, including investigations and disciplines. And it would align our nursing laws and regulations with the NLC standards. So this is good for Michigan, particularly for us. We'd rather be able to hire more from within the state to do the work that we're doing. We're proud to be a Michigan organization, one of the largest in the nation. And I do urge for passage. I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Don't see any questions from other members of the committee. Thank you very much for your testimony. Apologize for poorly reading that's on me. So, Mr. Miller, thank you. Yeah. Some additional cards to read in. Not wishing to speak in opposition of the bill is Ryan Siebolt from Michigan AFL-CIO. Not wishing to speak in opposition of the bill is Mitch Albers from the Michigan Association of Justice. Not wishing to speak in opposition to the bill is Mac Jones from Lara. Not wishing to speak in opposition to the bill is Yusuf Rabi from the Michigan Nurses Association. Not wishing to speak in opposition of the bill is Jeremy Garza from the Michigan Pipe Trades. Not wishing to speak in opposition to the bill is Sue Brown from United Steelworkers. Not wishing to speak in opposition of the bill is Steve Rezepa from AFSCME. Not wishing to speak in opposition of the bill is Drew Kelly from UAW. And not wishing to speak in opposition of the bill is Beth Bird from SEIU Healthcare Michigan. Not wishing to speak in opposition of the bill is Dina Carlisle from OPEIU Local 40. And not wishing to speak in support of the bill is Adam Carlson from the Michigan Health and Hospital Association. Not wishing to speak in support of the bill is Keith Mentz from the Fresenius Kidney Care. Not wishing to speak in support of the bill is Sean Gailey from Trinity Health Michigan. Not wishing to speak in support of the bill is Richie Firen from the Healthcare Association of Michigan. Not wishing to speak in support of the bill is Mike Wisniewski from the National Council of State Boards of Nursing. And not wishing to speak in support of the bill is Jarrett Skorup from the Mackinac Center. And then I missed two cards on House Bill 4017. Not wishing to speak in opposition is Mitch Albers from the Michigan Association of Justice. And on House Bill 4113, not wishing to speak in opposition is Dave Marvin from the Liquor Control Commission. All right. Seeing no further business. Oh yes. Representative Martin moves to excuse absent members. There being no objection, that motion prevails by unanimous consent. And now, there being no further business before the committee will stand adjourned.